So this is my S23 Ultra. I've been daily driving this phone for about the last 2 weeks or just a little under. And in this video, I want to tell you why the pitch of my voice is so different and why I'm so excited to talk about this phone. In 2022, the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, which is the phone I was using before this one, was, in my opinion, the best flagship phone that was released throughout the year. So when Samsung released this one, you know I had to get my hands on it and get a feel for exactly what was different and how they could possibly improve a phone that was already almost perfect. In this video, I'm going to try my best to talk about everything about this phone without leaving anything behind. And for everyone who is going to stick around with me till the end, you're welcome for the cinematic experience you're about to put yourself through. First thing is the design of the phone. Unlike the S22 Ultra from last year, the sides of the S23 Ultra are a lot flatter and a lot boxier. So it was designed in a way that it's a lot more comfortable to hold and it feels a lot better without using a phone case. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. The camera module on the back is also slightly larger than last year's S22 Ultra. So you're not going to be able to use the same cases for both phones. It's just not going to work. And moving away from the design and jumping straight into the build quality of the phone, this year Samsung has actually upgraded us to the Gorilla Glass Victus 2. So now it's a lot more durable, and when this phone falls at angles, it's actually probably not going to break. But of course, I'm not going to test that out with my unit. But I saw a bunch of videos online where this was being tested and it actually looked really durable. So I have no reason to not believe this is true. But honestly though, just holding this phone against my S22 Ultra, I can already tell that there's actually some durability differences. Now, my personal favorite thing about the S23 Ultra this year is the fact that there is not going to be an Exynos version, or there isn't an Exynos version. This year, Samsung is releasing all of their phones with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. But not just that, Samsung opted to work very closely with Qualcomm to develop the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy platform, which means you're actually going to be getting better performance than what you would have gotten from other flagship phones that would simply be using the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 this year. And Samsung is actually promising you 4 straight years of updates on this phone. So this phone actually ships to Android 13, but Samsung is saying you're going to be good up until Android 17. That's 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. That is crazy. Now, speaking of the performance of that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy platforms, I don't really game a lot on my phone. So as you can imagine, the regular processes like using social media applications, taking photos, recording videos, it performs great. But the only game I recently started to play on my phone was Call of Duty Mobile. And I honestly don't know any other game that's going to task my phone more than Call of Duty Mobile. At least I haven't seen one. And I'm happy to say, just like its predecessor, the Galaxy S22 Ultra, the S23 Ultra maintains the same performance as a beast of a phone. I never experienced a single lag, a single reboot, and there was no issues where maybe my phone was running hot while I was in Alcatraz or anything like that. And I think the beautiful thing now is because of the flatter edges, it's a lot more comfortable to game with this phone, especially when I'm holding it this way. Now, the greatest thing that people talk about with this phone is the new 200 megapixel camera sensor, which is supposed to be a huge upgrade over the S22 Ultra's 108 megapixels. But for a second, I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the magic that Samsung put in this phone that nobody seems to be talking about enough: the image stabilization in video mode. So here is some footage recording video in QHD and completely shaking the hell out of this phone and trying to make sure it gives me shaky footage. But this is the final footage. Can you see what I'm saying? Samsung, what did you add in your stew? I don't know what sorcery this is, but I have never seen anything like this. That video footage does not match the shaking that was being shook inside of that video. And to be very honest with you, if I wasn't the one who actually shot this video myself and recorded it, and you showed me this footage and you said this is what you got out of it, I probably wouldn't believe you. I'd probably say you were lying. But unfortunately, I shot it myself. So clearly, I can't be lying to myself, right? Right? Now, one of my favorite upgrades to the camera system this year is that you can now shoot portrait video with the 200 megapixel sensor on the back and even the new 12 megapixel sensor on the front for selfies. The video looks impressive. I mean, testing out the portrait video mode, it's better than anything I have seen on any other phone, and that is coming from me who has an iPhone 14 Pro Max as my daily driver iPhone. That's a little awkward to say. Now, speaking on that selfie camera, it's actually been downgraded from the 40 megapixel from last year to a 12 megapixel sensor. That might sound like a downgrade because I actually did just call it a downgrade, but it's not necessarily a downgrade. You see, there's a reason why camera companies like Sony and Panasonic, when they want to make cinematic versions of their cameras, use smaller megapixel counts. It's because it actually performs better for video, especially in low light. And I guess this is exactly the same thing Samsung was going for. There's a reason why a lot of the phone manufacturers stuck with a 12 megapixel camera sensor for the longest time. It's because of the way it performs, and it actually had no issues. I would say though, I didn't really notice a difference in the quality of the photos from the 12 megapixel front facing camera sensor and the 40 megapixel sensor from my S22 Ultra, but then maybe I wasn't looking at enough. To be honest, I'm not pixel peeping. I just really want to take a decent selfie and a photo that looks good, and that's about it. Now, one of the biggest parts of this phone that were marketed the most is the new astrophotography features inside of the new 200 megapixel camera sensor. So you're supposed to be able to see better in the dark. You can go outside and take photos of like the stars on the moon. But you see, me, I'm Nigerian, so unfortunately there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Every night when I go outside, the stars have decided not to come out again. So for that fact alone, I'm probably not going to be able to test the astrophotography features on my phone for a while. But when I get a chance, I'll definitely do that and upload a video about it. Now, the final thing I'd like to talk about is the 5000 mAh battery, which is the exact same battery capacity from last year's S22 Ultra. Again, that might seem like there was no upgrade, but when you consider the fact that this phone is using the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is actually more efficient when it comes to power draw, then it starts to make sense why this phone lasts significantly longer than the S22 Ultra. Now, for some reason, it also takes longer to charge, so maybe the charging technology was improved, I really don't know. But one thing I noticed was a lot of the chargers that used to do ultra super fast charging or whatever on my S22 Ultra were not giving me the same readings on this phone, so they were charging regularly. But I mean, at the end of the day, I would take a phone that takes a little longer to charge but gives me longer battery life in the longer run anyways, right? And finally, the price. The official pre-order price for this phone was 200,000 naira, but the total price you'd have to pay to get the S23 Ultra was 1,030,000 naira. And before you ask why is this slightly higher than last year's flagship, well, first off, they actually got rid of the 128GB base version. So the base version this year is actually 256GB of flash storage, which is actually super fast. And secondly, the dollar is constantly rising like a Jebu Gari, so you can't really expect the prices to stay the same, can you? And to my final closing remarks about this device after using it for about 2 weeks, it's a major go. Actually, I think that's something Flossikata says. That's not for this channel. Sorry, wrong channel. But my point is, this phone is a solid 9/10, which is an upgrade from the 8/10 that I gave the S22 Ultra last year. And why, you might ask? Because the little improvements that they actually made that seem so little on paper when you consider them without actually using the phones are actually major upgrades when you actually experience the phone on a day-to-day basis. The flatter edges, that makes the phone more comfortable to use without a case, so now I don't have to worry about my pinky finger getting bruises. That's a major go. The fact that they put Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on this phone, which makes it significantly more durable, unlike the S22 Ultra, so I don't have to worry about my phone breaking if I mistakenly or accidentally drop it. Oh, and yes, did I mention that they've actually improved the speakers this year? So the speaker situation last year, which were stereo speakers which sounded fine but a little teeny, have been significantly improved, so the speakers are actually louder this year. Look, I don't know what to tell you. I love the S22 Ultra a lot. I thought it was the best phone that was released last year, so how they were still able to upgrade it a little bit and make it even better is completely beyond me. But they managed to do it, and yes, maybe yearly phone cycle upgrades are no longer necessary. Maybe we have reached peak smartphone. Who knows? I'm sure there's a lot of S22 Ultra users that are still not going to want to buy this phone because it doesn't seem like such a huge upgrade. But anybody else using any other phone from before the S22 Ultra, you don't even have to think about it very much. This is a major go. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video, and I cannot wait to see you on my next video. Peace out.
The kind of guy